What is up, YouTube family? Thank you guys for tuning back into Wilburn Shenanigans. My name is Chad. This is my wife, D. And we are back with another exciting, fantastic, excellent, crazy video. This one is a lengthy one, but I'm excited to dive into it because you guys put this one over here. So, this is something we were raised on. Our kids are coming up on, and it's a controversial topic. Disney is where we're gonna go into. Disney is getting backlash for a lot of stuff right now. A lot of stuff going on. I'm not gonna go into detail because that is just
another day.
They might go into it on this video though. But this is Disney World, and basically, I guess, an employee leaks information about them, so it's exposing Disney. I think Disney probably is doing a great job at that themselves, but okay. Let's see what happened here. Let's see.
Disney is one of the most fiercely protective brands in the world.
Oh, come on, mister. I could use another quarter.
If there's something they don't want you to know, you're probably not gonna know it.
What? Oh no. No.
Unless, of course, you have hard-working, honest people like us, who just believe everybody should know the truth. Sorry, Mickey. From a bizarre rule on appearance to the unluckiest day in Disneyland history, let's reveal 20 secrets Disney doesn't want you to know.
20?
Number 20. Walts Word. Here's the biggest thing you have to know about Uncle Walt. The guy knew what he wanted. From the way his little animals were designed and moved, to, everything about his parks. Walt's word was clear, and it was the law that applies even after death. From the day Disneyland was first built, Walt had a few very specific rules that he wanted to be upheld. After all, it was his brand. This was something that he knew inside and out. That said, Walt's insistence that absolutely no employee, under any condition, could have a mustache, well, that was weird. Presumably, Walt wanted his utopia to have a very squeaky clean image. But there's a certain irony in a lifelong mustached man telling others they cannot have a mustache. It's fascinating. The anti-mustache rule remained in place until 2000, making it one of the longest upheld rules in Disneyland history. However, just because people with hairy lips can now work at Disney doesn't mean the rules have changed. Quite the contrary. Full beards, some piercings, and certain hair colorings are still banned for Disneyland employees. I guess there are some things that Uncle Walt still isn't a fan of.
Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping.
It's time for the rare topic. Now, we know that the Imagineers are phenomenal at what they do, but, well, one Disney employee captured what no one was supposed to see. An anonymous employee released this video online, claiming that Disney created a real-life Mickey Mouse, nicknamed Man Mouse, by employees, and held him in a cage for over 10 years. The idea was to create a fully mobile Mickey Mouse without needing electricity or people in costumes. But as you can see, well, it didn't really work, and the executives decided the Man Mouse could never be seen by the public. What do you think? Is this real, or is it a big, disturbing hoax? Comment down below with the hashtag rare topic, and let us know your opinion about the Man Mouse. With that said, let's keep things moving.
Yeah, please,
Number 19, Black Sunday. Don't get your hopes up, my friends. Black Sunday is not some Disney-centric day to save money on all of your unnecessary products. Actually, it has nothing to do with purchasing stuff or even Thanksgiving. Black Sunday was the nickname that Walt himself gave to one of the best and most complicated days of his life, the opening of Disneyland. In 1955, Disneyland finally opened in Orange County. The opening day did not go according to plan. not at all. Only media and special guests were invited to the opening event, but over half of the 28,000 people who turned up brought counterfeit tickets to gain entry. Even worse, the 101-degree weather, brutal traffic jams, and a local plumber strike had turned such a joyous occasion into a headache. Vendors ran out of food, the freshly poured asphalt was absorbing people's shoes, and eventually a gas leak forced Fantasyland, Adventureland, and Frontierland to close. Not good. As if none of this was bad enough, the whole thing was being captured and broadcast live by ABC, and that coverage was no better. Guests were tripping over equipment, audio was all over the place, and even Disney couldn't get his words out. Black Sunday was brutal, and it didn't bode well for Disneyland, but hey, I think it's safe to say nobody noticed. Number 18, the Nemo Murders. And now it's time for a PSA. Movies are not real. Everybody knows this to some degree, but it's worth mentioning, because while much of the information that comes from Pixar movies is accurate, capes are dangerous, for example, a lot of it isn't, which is how we got to the big fish genocide of the mid-2000s. After the release of Finding Nemo in 2003, Pixar was celebrating yet another huge success in its filmography. Remember, we're still many years away from Cars 2, so up to this point, Pixar was on a streak of excellent movies. No offense to Cars 2, obviously, but, you know. However, the impact of Finding Nemo was so great that kids began taking the worst possible messages from it and flushing their fish down the toilet. The reason for doing that? In the movie, one character tells Nemo that all drains lead to the ocean. You can see how we got here, right? That's actually not true. Flushed fish generally don't make it to the ocean. In fact, if they make it at all, they'll just end up in the dank, murky, and pretty gross sewer system. You can only imagine how many dead fish found their way into the sewer system in 2004. Ugh.
That's messed up.
Number 17, Walt's last words. If you were Walt Disney and you were there on your deathbed looking back at your life, you'd be pretty proud, right? I mean, there's Disneyland and the movies and the Oscars. He basically built a one-man empire, so it may surprise you to know that he wasn't thinking about any of that at the time. He was thinking of Kurt Russell. Yeah, the actor. According to people who were present at the time, Walt Disney's last spoken words on this earth were the words, Kurt Russell.
Oh, come on, mister. I could use another quarter.
And no, nobody actually knows why. Now we know that Walt didn't just somehow predict that Kurt Russell would be a huge star. They knew one another. Kurt was just a child at the time, having worked on a couple of cheesy Disney movies. But as to why exactly Walt was thinking of Kurt in his final moments, that's anybody's guess. The most common theory is that Disney was simply in the middle of imagining another story, and in that story, Kurt Russell would have been the perfect choice for the lead. Of course, this is all speculation, and even Kurt Russell doesn't quite know why anybody would think of him in their final moments. Number 16. Disney's secret apartment. There's so much of Disneyland that is secret or hidden or just not common knowledge, and so much of that comes back to Walt himself. With his love of mischief and secrets, for a long time nobody knew that he had a secret apartment in...
Welcome you to Walt Disney's private apartment, one of the most exclusive places...
And it was right out in the open the whole time. On the second floor of the Main Street firehouse, Disney had designed a private apartment for himself. The apartment was designed to be used for work or for family time, and while it was small, it was fully operational. Inside there was a bathroom and a kitchen, both of which fully worked, but as for what happened inside the apartment, Walt never wanted anybody to know. In fact, he never allowed any pictures of him or his family inside, except for one. Walt allowed one photograph for National Geographic magazine, that was all. The also came with a patio, which Walt's wife Lillian was known to take advantage of. The patio, of course, was surrounded by vines, preventing anybody from peering into the private lives of the Disneys. Walt's apartment was secret for a reason, and nobody wants to know what happens in a firehouse, right? I'm kidding, of course. I'm not new to the internet. I know how this works. Number 15. Disney Recycling Program. You could argue that all Disney movies are the same, right? You see one, and you have a general sense of how it's going to go. The princess wants something bigger, but can't get it, and the handsome prince turns up and saves the day, and yada yada yada. Well, yeah, you're right. But it actually goes far beyond just recycling old stories and plots. The Disney Recycling Program was very real.
What? Oh no.
So we're watching the same thing.
No.
And back in the day, they were known for saving money by simply copying what they'd done before. Thanks to a technique known as rotoscoping, it became easy for Disney animators to merely lift entire animation sequences from one project and reuse it in another. Pretty soon, they had a whole method for reusing their old material without wasting time and money, creating something brand new. Easy, right? You'll see this kind of thing in every 2D Disney movie if you look close enough. Of course, they don't want you to know this. The Walt Disney Company wants you to recognize its animators' incredible hard work and talent, which of course you absolutely should. The animators are the beating heart of the company, but you have to admire a shortcut when you see it. Number 14. Disney's Wildcats. Have you ever wondered why it's so rare to see actual real-life mice and rats roaming around Disneyland? I mean, considering they have a mouse as a mascot, you'd imagine there would be some baby Mickeys looking to build a home there. As it turns out, Disneyland has insurance against that. They call them cats. Yes, despite the presence of a human-sized Mickey Mouse, Disneyland is the home to dozens of feral cats. In fact, the Disney executives call them cat members, which is kinda funny actually for executives. The cat's only job is to roam the park at night and day, keeping the rodents and unwanted guests under control. The whole thing started on the day Disneyland was first opening in 1955. At that time, the company had to evict the cats from Sleeping Beauty Castle, but the cats were soon adopted by the cast members and continue to be loved today. And don't get too freaked out by the word feral. While they may be wild, these cats are truly beloved by guests and audiences. In fact, many of them have their own social media fan pages.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
people love them. I wonder how Mickey feels about it. Number 13. The Racist Era. We all know that Disney is one of the most protective companies in the world when it comes to its brand, so it stands to reason that there are some things Disney don't want to be associated with. Racism, for example, is an absolute no-no, but that doesn't mean they haven't made mistakes. In the 1940s, society was not yet ready for a nuanced and reflective conversation about race, and Disney, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, was part of the problem. Throughout the 1940s, the Walt Disney Company made some pretty drastic missteps that it would very much like us to forget about today. There was the 1943 propaganda cartoon, Der Führer's Face, in which Donald dreams he's a Nazi. That was intriguing, but the biggest misstep of all, of course, was The Song of the South, a 1946 musical that is still known today as one of the most controversial and racist movies ever made. In fact, the movie is considered so questionable in its glorified, idyllic portrayal of the slave era that, as of 2022, the movie is unavailable to stream and almost impossible to watch through legal means.
Oh, wow.
Number 12,
Never even heard of that.
the flags. For our viewers outside the United States, it may be helpful to give some brief context on the importance of flags to Americans. Under federal U.S. law, there are certain rules to displaying a United States flag. The flag
There
must
are.
be shown respect, never damaged, and folded in an extremely specific way, to name but 3 of the rules. Of course, Disneyland doesn't follow any of these rules, so how do they get away with it? Well, if you happen to look a little too closely at the flags, you'll begin to see the answer. The flags are not official US flags.
What?
They don't have 13 stripes, they're missing stars, every single flag has at least one tiny detail wrong, ensuring
What the
that they're
heck?
not actually legally required to follow this specific and strange law. That's how
Disney just out
Disney is
here
able
getting
to
away with
keep the
just murder. They
flags
can do
out
whatever
every
they want at this
day,
point, is all I'm
even
saying.
during inclement weather. As if it's not clear by now, Disney really did think everything through when he designed Disneyland. Not only is it all designed to the tiniest detail, but the entire park is also designed to avoid breaching any serious legal limitation. And you have to admire that kind of creative loophole preparation. Number 11, the Tower of Terror. It's probably not something that you've ever really thought about, but if you've ever happened to stroll down Sunset Boulevard in Disneyland, you'll have heard the shrieks coming from the top of the Tower of Terror. But the question is, are they really coming from the tower itself? The answer, of course, is no, but this is all part of the intricate, careful design of Disneyland. The screams that you will hear while walking down the street are all pre-recorded, hence why they tend to sound almost identical if you stick around long enough. However, the speakers are strategically placed so that you never really have a chance to notice that. In fact, if you're just walking and not paying attention, it's pretty easy to get fooled by the illusion. This is one of the many sensory tricks that Disneyland is known for, tiny illusions that make the world seem so much more intimate than it is. The Twilight Zone, as far as we know, does not exist, but thanks to these little tricks Disneyland likes to use, it's easy to be convinced that it is. That's kind of the magic of Disneyland, right? Swept away into a brand new world and tricked into thinking your hearing is much better than it actually is. What a dream. Number 10, the original stories. If there's one thing we all know and love about Disney, it's their natural ability to take old, disturbing fairy tales and turn them into the adorable, charming, whimsical movies we all know and love. They've been doing it since 1937. Take, for example, two of Disney's biggest hits, Cinderella and Frozen. In the original story of Cinderella, written by the brothers Grimm, Cinderella's father is alive and incredibly uncomfortably abusive. He calls his daughter deformed, tells the prince that she's not the girl he's looking for because she's ugly, and generally acts like the secret meaning behind the eggplant emoji. In the original story of Frozen, meanwhile, Elsa, the Snow Queen, is far from the misunderstood teen she is in the movie. Hans Christian Andersen wrote the Snow Queen as a cold, unsettling, inhuman villainess who abducts underage boys and likes to kiss them while making them do math puzzles. Yeah. By the time a young woman finds her brother, he's gangrenous with frostbite and a shadow of the boy he once was. I don't imagine that the boy will be able to, let it go anytime soon. Number 9.
What?
Disney Colors. The Walt Disney Company has meticulously protected its intellectual property for decades. You can't hope to use any of the Disney characters outside of the Walt Disney Company, at least not without a lawsuit, and the company even makes sure that all of its colors, like Mickey Mouse Red, are carefully guarded, because they don't exist outside of the company. Yes, the red hue of Mickey's shorts is a closely guarded secret. Only people who have worked at a high level within Disney can know the true shade, or, people who know how to use the eyedropper in Photoshop. In fact, the shade of red is proprietary property, meaning that Disney will never publicly share it with others, and may even be able to sue for it. Apparently,
What the
this all began
heck?
with Walt himself, who was so taken with Technicolor from the first time he saw it that he insisted on creating a proprietary color palette of his very own. That color palette ended up with around 3,800 shades, all of them kept in special cases away from light and other corrupting influences. And you thought making a Disney movie was just making animals talk? Never. Number 8. The saddest place on Earth. So you want to spread your beloved's ashes at Disneyland? Good luck. It's the one place in the world where the impossible becomes possible, unless you want to dump the remains of a loved one into the water. In that case, you might want to go to Six Flags. When asked if there were any reported cases of ashes scattering in the past, Disney officials have insisted that they were unaware of any incidents. From time to time, guests do ask permission to disperse ashes on park premises, but the answer is always no. However, that doesn't stop people. When a guest sprinkled a suspicious powder into the water on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in 2014, the workers took the safety of guests seriously. A Disneyland witness described the substance as a baby powder type material that quickly dissipated, but it was later determined to be human ashes. Look, the intention is nice, but it's gross and weird to start dumping the remains of humans into theme park water. You know, I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean. People get soaked in that water. I don't want to be covered in your late Uncle Albert. Come on, man. Number 7. The Disney Vault. The Disney Vault is a place where Disney keeps its most treasured movies, but unlike the open door that Disney claims to be, the vault is closely guarded. For every movie released, there are tens more never released to the public. But why? Well, Disney would rather not be associated with some of them. For decades, Disney seemed desperate to distance itself from some interesting productions. Escape to Witch Mountain, for instance, a 1975 movie that could be described as weird, or The Black Hole, a 1979 movie that features a scene where one character gets disemboweled. Not Disney-friendly. However, both of these movies eventually made their way onto Disney Plus, proving that sometimes you just need content. One movie that has yet to hit streaming, however, The Watcher in the Woods. Released in 1980, this movie is one of the few horror movies produced and released by Disney. And considering how off-brand it was for Disney, it's not surprising to hear that it was a mess. In fact, the movie was considered so bad that it got pulled from theaters mid-release. The filmmakers shot a new ending and re-released the movie 18 months later. As of January 2022, the movie has yet to be released on Disney Plus. Welcome to the Vault. Number 6. The Roar. I'm not sure how many people out there actually believe that what they see and hear in the movies is real, but, well, if you're out there, I'm about to ruin it for ya, because of course the whole thing is fake. Everything, even the actors' faces are, well, they've been, what's the word, redesigned? In the case of Disney movies, we're usually talking about animation, and in the world of animation, it's all about sound and voice, right? Well, what happens when you need, say, a lion's roar? I mean, you could just get a few recordings of a lion roaring and use that. But, well, movie making is a creative thing. Why not get creative with it? While making The Lion King, it was decided that getting actual audio of lions would be too expensive and require too much effort. So they got legendary voiceover artist Frank Welker in to help them create the sound of the lion. He came up with a pretty genius idea. Using an empty metal trash can, Welker started burping and growling into it, right next to the microphone. The producers were stunned to discover that, yeah, it sounded exactly like a lion, and that's how Simba got his roar. Frank dug through the trash. Inspiring, right?
Ruined it for me.
Number 5. Discovery Island. There are abandoned fairgrounds and amusement parks all over the world, just waiting to be discovered. Some people have had the time of their life going around and taking a look, but did you know that even Disney World has an abandoned park? It's absolutely true, and it's even more depressing than you'd think. For almost 25 years, visitors were free to venture into Discovery Island, a land that was part amusement park and part nature reserve. On the island, guests would see over 600 native and tropical birds, a flamingo pool, bird shows, and even a walk-in aviary. But the good times weren't going to last for long. In 1989, the story leaked that some were shooting rifles at the hawks, beating vultures to death, while employees were destroying nests and eggs. When the authorities investigated the claims, they ended up charging Disney with 16 state and federal counts of bird abuse. Despite all of these crimes, Discovery Island continued to survive until 1999, and the island is still there today, albeit impossible to actually reach. If you wanted to check it out, you'd have to take a boat or swim in the crocodile-infested waters, neither of which are allowed or recommended. I mean, you've seen Peter Pan, right? Number 4. It's a Small World. It's an annoying song after all, and it just never seems to shut up. Anybody that has ever actually taken a ride on the It's a Small World ride will know that the song has to be up there as one of the most irritating earworms in the world. Oh, well, it's about to get a whole lot worse. Back when the attraction was being developed, Walt Disney planned on featuring the national anthems of every country represented. But after hearing that in action, he found it to be unnerving. A lot of tempos, a lot of volume, not good. So he asked the Sherman brothers, who were working on Mary Poppins at the time, to come up with a very simple song to be sung by all the children. And that's how we got from the genius of supercalifragilisticexpialidocious to whatever the hell this thing is. But as far as the secret behind the song, it literally never ends. And I don't mean within the song itself. The loop that plays the song will never be turned off because it takes too much effort to stop and reboot the system. So even after all the lights are off and nobody else is in the park, just know that the damn song is still going. Number 3,
I would not be able to play in that
working
section,
for Walt.
Small World every day for me.
Walt Disney was a genius in just about every way, there's no denying that. But, like all geniuses, that made him incredibly difficult to work with and work for. Which is why so many of his employees found Uncle Walt to be difficult. In fact, Walt was so committed to making sure that all of Disneyland was as he imagined it, that the workers had to just take it. The poor employees who had to spend hours dressing up as Mickey or Minnie were contractually required to wear park-owned underwear that was laundered at the park. Gross, right? Gets worse. When the employees complained about the lice and scabies they suffered from the underwear, a fight between employer and employees kicked up. That fight was, of course, about the right to wear your own underwear in the workplace. What an interesting start to the park. While it's unclear exactly how long it took to fully get this taken care of, the Teamsters Union spent months negotiating a deal with Disney that would allow employees to not get downstairs infections at work, and eventually Disney allowed his employees to wear their own underwear, which is nice of him, I guess. Number 2. The Disney Empire. When Disney was first founded back in 1923, it was nothing more than a two-man operation. The Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio soon developed into an impressive company, eventually becoming a major deal with the release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1937, the very first feature-length animated movie. Today, of course, we know Disney as a big, big deal, but just how big, that may surprise you. The company is worth hundreds of billions of dollars today, which is entirely thanks to the empire it's developed into. I mean, let's break it down. The Disney Company is made up of the Walt Disney Studios, Walt Disney Pictures, Walt Disney Animation Studios, Pixar, Marvel Studios, Lucasfilms, 20th Century Studios, 20th Century Animation, Searchlight Pictures, ABC, Disney Channel, ESPN, Freeform, FX, National Geographic, Disney Plus, Star Plus, ESPN Plus, Hulu, Hotstar, all of the Disney parks, the cruises, the hotels, I mean, it's never ending. Back when Walt and Roy Disney were developing silent films in a crummy little building in Las Feliz, it's hard to imagine they envisioned a behemoth this big. In fact, in an October 1954 episode of his show Disneyland, Walt himself said, "I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse." Kinda hard to see the mouse for all the money and superheroes. Number 1. Skeletons of the Caribbean.
Love this ride.
Ever since it was first opened in
Greatest ride ever.
1967, the huge Pirates of the Caribbean ride has been a huge hit with guests. In fact, it's probably more popular now than it's ever been, thanks to the surprisingly great movies that Disney produced, but there's kind of a surprisingly grim history to this ride that may shock you. Back when the ride first opened, the Imagineers believed that the whole thing wasn't quite convincing enough. It was impressive, sure, but something was missing. A certain feel. So they contacted some friends at the UCLA Medical Center and managed to secure some real human remains. Skeletal remains, obviously, so for the first few years of the ride's existence, guests were blissfully ignorant of the fact that they were surrounded by actual human skeletons. The Imagineers, meanwhile, were getting all manner of compliments on their amazingly convincing work. Everybody wins. Of course, the skeletons eventually had to be returned to the medical center for various reasons. However, some continue to claim that there's a real human skull hidden within the ride. But hey, that's for you to decide, mostly because I don't want to Google human skull Disneyland again.
Hell, some dog bones or something.
Which of
Like,
these
you wanna use
secrets
some
do you
human
think
bones?
Disney is most desperate to keep hidden? Let us know in the comments.
Disney, you gotta get y'all stuff together, because this video just made me think of all kind of other stuff for y'all.
They probably were like, oh, can we use your family remains? We'll pay you this much.
Y'all worried about the wrong stuff with Disney. Worried about seeing Buzz Lightyear kiss another Buzz Lightyear. No, you need to be worried about this. They got real bones over here. Real bones. They use another human's bones. Like, that is disturbing as hell.
Doesn't bones have smell like dead people? Have
I mean, I don't know. I guess you clean them. I don't know.
I
I never had no human bones. How would I know what
I've
human...
still never even seen the Pirates of the Caribbean.
You ask me about some human bones. I don't even know.
Have you guys been to Disney? If so, put in the comments that you've been to Disney. If you haven't, put in the comments also, because I want to see who's on my side who hasn't been to Disney and his side who has been to Disney.
D had a point. She was going to go this year, but other plans came in. So, yeah. So don't come in here and come to me in the comments talking about take D to damn Disneyland. I've been trying to take D to Disneyland.
He was trying to take us for our daughter's birthday. It doesn't count for me.
I would think you would want to take your kids to Disneyland.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, it was for
You still going.
But anyway.
You think my parents, it was for me half the time we went? No, but my black ass is still there going and having a great time.
I found out that there's people that work for, like, Disney or something like that, or, like, they work and they can do it for Disney. But, like, I guess what they do is they ask your budget, and then they, like, plan your trip accordingly to your budget. And, like, it's like a traveling help, something like that. I don't know. I seen it on TikTok.
I wonder how many more facts that wasn't in this video are actually going on at Disney.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was gonna be way worse. I was so nervous. I'm like,
human bones
no.
ain't good.
I mean, that's one out
So
of,
how
like,
far can you go from that?
20.
Like, you got
like,
real...
I thought we were gonna do some, like, crazy, nasty investigating. Like, I thought I was gonna be mind blown.
Because human remains is
But
not...
that's only one, and technically they're dead. So.
But that don't matter. Like, what you mean they did?
I mean, their family let them go, so...
How you know? Disney got billions and billions of dollars. You don't know if they know that their family gave them permission to put them bones out there? You can't... Yeah, people with money like that can move however they want. You just be amazed what they can do. That type of money, you can do whatever you want. That is crazy. I am now... I got to question me going to Disneyland now. Because now I'm going to think of this video. I'm like, hold on now. This could be a real apartment right here. Somebody looking at me.
Judging you.
Like... You like what you see? You like that?
You are so nasty.
I'm just like, thank y'all for tuning back in. Don't forget to like,
just
subscribe, share. We'll see y'all in our next video.